Hi, Phil Constantine, Travels with Phil. Have you noticed on Facebook, a couple other spots on the internet, where there's been these postings that say here's a good way to get rid of the weeds in your yard, and basically it includes a vinegar and Epsom salt and some laundry detergent? Well, I'm going to try that out. Now, if you've ever followed my page on Facebook, you know I get a bit prickly when it comes to folks posting things that aren't true, so I'm going to actually test it out here at home. So stick around. I'll show you the formula in just a second, and then I'll put it together and actually do it in my own front yard.
This is the formula just as I got it off the internet. If you want to pause the video so you can write it down, that might help.
Okay, here's all the basic equipment you're going to need to do this. I have a sprayer out here. This is brand new. I have a gallon of vinegar. Now, if you read the label, it says it's 5% acidity. Just regular old vinegar, nothing special about it. The formula also calls for Original Dawn dishwashing liquid, and it says it's supposed to be the blue kind, obviously blue. And then this is Dr. Teal's Pure Epsom Salt Therapeutic Soap, but just basically it's Epsom salt. Now, what I'm going to do is walk over here, and it says you need 2 cups. This is a cup measuring. You need 2 cups of the Epsom salt. I'm going to put that in first to help make it easier to dissolve. No fancy measurements other than just putting it in the cup, putting it in. And this one you got to shake it up a little bit, get it all in there, because you got to make sure you have a good seal when you put the lid back on. And then, simply enough, pull off the little thing on the side here, pop the top, and pour it in. Now, since this is supposed to be a gallon of vinegar, pretty easy. I got a gallon jug here, so no real measuring on that part. Although this particular jug, if I don't spill it everywhere, does have a measuring thing on the side, so you can tell if when you're getting up to about a gallon. Now, sometimes it may go slightly above a gallon if you put in the Epsom salts first, just for displacement things. Now, one thing to remember or suggest is that when you do this, you go ahead and shake it up this way first. Get it nice and mixed up. Now, you can put the plunger back in to shake it up. That way, you know, you turn it upside down a little bit and shake it to make sure it's real dissolved. Don't do that with the Dawn in there yet, because if you really do some vigorous shaking, the Dawn's going to make it all bubbly. You don't want that yet. The Dawn, as I understand it, is mainly there to help keep it on the weeds so it'll last. You know, it won't run away or roll off very well. So shaking up and down, back and forth. All right, now after I've got that done, then I will take the plunger piece off. Whoops. Do this the right way. All right. There we go. And now I will put in the 1/4 cup of the Dawn. And again, try to keep from spilling it on the edges so it'll seal very well when you're through doing it, when you put it back in. Okay? All right, and so now, shake it up a little bit. Put it back in, then screw it back down, make sure it's nice and tight. And then this is where you get it, where you start pumping it up so you're ready to start spraying. Every one of these is slightly different, so you have to check it out yourself to see exactly how many times you should pump it. All right, off to the yard.
All right, this is my front yard. Nice American flags here and our neighbors. And typical weeds for Southern California front yard. Now, this is a sprayer, and you just basically spray it. Now, the instructions didn't say if you're really supposed to soak it, if you're supposed to do it lightly, so I'm not exactly sure. So I'm just going to do it for what I think is a moderate amount of time, but enough to get it on the plants. Now, a lot of these are weeds. A lot of these are not necessarily weeds, but I don't want them. And we'll see how well it does anyway. And that is definitely a weed. Although a friend of mine once said a weed is anything that you don't want growing. Which means rose bushes could be weeds if you didn't want them in your yard. Alright. So what I am going to do is I am just going to spray the part that is closest to the house, but on this side of the bricks. So we'll come back out here tomorrow morning and see what it looks like that way. And do a side-by-side comparison. Alright, the great weed test continues. It's been 24 hours since I last sprayed, or since I did spray. And you can see, this is, looks pretty brown in some spots there. Didn't really work too well on this bunch, or completely. Now, again, I wasn't exactly sure how much of this I was supposed to put on, so it may be hard to tell. But definitely looking through here. Now, these kinds of weeds here, the dandelions, or at least I think those are dandelions, milkweed, they did not work very well. But the other kind here, bit of difference. You can see here along the edge that these are definitely browning up. As we go through the middle, you can sort of see little gaps here, and as you step, you can hear it's sort of crunchy. So that part is definitely working, but again, these right here did not seem to react as well, but definitely you can see side by side here, there is a distinct difference. It has now been 48 hours, so let's take a look and see what's happening down here. Now you can see the broadleaf kind of weeds down here are, you know, pretty brown on some spots. But these, I don't know if these dandelions or milkweed or what that is, but those don't really seem to be affected too much. Going along, definitely some less than green ones here. And again, these big ones, they just don't seem to be affected at all. But looking side by side here, you can definitely see on either side of the bricks, the ones over here obviously are much less robust, less green than the ones on the right hand side. And this is the spot where I stopped spraying along the bricks here. But these kind right here, they don't seem to be affected at all. All right, I've now got the Roundup. It's going to be a little bit harder to do with using both hands at the same time. But I'm getting the area just along the edge of the bricks to the right this time. Neighbor's dog doesn't like the sound here. Now some of these ones right along the edge of the brick did get a little bit of spray earlier. Now this again is the Roundup that comes automatically mixed to the right proportions. Now, I would actually prefer to use a more natural solution than something like Roundup, because Roundup sticks around a long time, doesn't really biodegrade very well. And unfortunately, the other one doesn't work that well. And I'll also do the ones here along the sidewalk. Now again, when you're doing these kinds of things, it's a good idea to go with the flow of the breeze so it doesn't blow back on you. "24 hours later in the front yard, looking at the part which I did with the Roundup, and well, you can see a little bit of bent over leaves there, or growth, whatever that is, but really not a whole lot up here in the rest of it. And these are starting to lean over a little bit, not too much. Well, the great weed kill-off test continues on here. It has been 6 days since I sprayed the area here right in front of you with a vinegar and Epsom salt solution, and then it's been 4 days since I sprayed this area up here with ready mix Roundup. And while there's been some stuff that's died, you can see it along here, there's also a lot of stuff that's still out there, including these plants right here, which actually seem to have grown since I did the spraying. And I can't tell if the foxtails, which is the stuff you see right there, I can't tell if that's actually growing or it's just dying underneath, but a lot of green stuff still out here. So unfortunately, neither one of those really seem to have worked for these particular weeds. Now granted, it may have something to do with how much I used on it, because neither one of these things say exactly how much you're supposed to spray. But just keep that in mind if you're going to be using these. I'm going to try and use a little bit more in the spot where the bigger weeds are to see if they might help out a little bit. Okay, it has now been a week and 2 days since I first sprayed the front yard and the backyard with the mixture of vinegar, Epsom salt, and a little bit of laundry detergent, or dishwashing detergent liquid. And it's been a week since I came out and did Roundup. Now the area that you see here between the bricks and the edge of the planter up there is where I did the vinegar spray, and then on this side of the bricks is where I did the Roundup. And you'll see, yeah, there's definitely some killing of the weeds that have gone on. Now 2 days ago I came up and really sprayed these weeds right here with the Roundup. So they have been sprayed with both the vinegar solution and Roundup, and it really doesn't seem to be having a great deal of effect. There's a little bit, but not a real big effect. And you can see out here, this is the area where the weeds were done, or the vinegar was done. Yeah, some of them are dead, some of them aren't. Over here where the Roundup was sprayed, some of them are dead, some of them aren't. So you'll just have to decide on your own which is the more appropriate thing for you to do. And so now I'm going to go take my lawnmower and mow down the remaining weeds. So thanks for watching. Travels with Phil. Back to you.